Kirby had quite the large presence on the Game Boy. I mean, heck, that was the first time the Pink Puff Star, white monochrome, supposedly yellow Pink Puff was supposed to star. But he has about a total of technically 6 titles on the Game Boy, and yeah, that's quite a bit, I'll say. So why don't we go ahead and jump right into the first one, being Kirby's Dreamland. People always say this game is just way too simplistic, way too basic, just not their cup of tea. They say it's the worst Kirby game, and I'm just like, guys, have you played a Kirby game? Well, clearly you didn't play this one because, yeah, it's fun, it's good, it just... People always compare it to the fact that it doesn't have copy abilities. Yes, it's Kirby's first outing, that's right. He can just simply inhale enemies, spit them out, and that's about it. He also can swallow enemies too, but yeah. There are some copy abilities you could say, like Microphone is an early mic version, along with the Super Mint Leaf, or whatever the heck that was called, that you can use for infinite spitting, but... yeah, that's about all there is to it when it comes to that game. There's only a couple of stages, a couple of bosses, but personally, I think what really makes this game special, and really I just love coming back to, is the extra mode. Freaking the entire game is like on sugar, crack, whatever you want to call it, and it is insane how much challenging this freaking game can be. Also, I gotta love as well that Kirby games literally also a reference to just HAL stuff in general, being Castle, la la la, whatever you want to call it, being, you know, those are references to NES titles, la la la. But also, if you beat the extra mode, you unlock an additional mode as well, being able to just make your game as hard as you possibly can. Want Kirby to have 0 lives and 1 health and basically make it a one-hit Super Wonder mode? Well, there you go. Honestly, I think it's a very solid title, and a lot of people just tend to overlook it. I feel like there are worse Kirby games, since this literally is a Kirby game. It's the most basic form you can get out of it. Next, probably one of the more divisive titles, being Kirby's Pinball Land. That's right, Kirby's Pinball Land. I thought for the longest time a lot of people liked this game, but I guess I was wrong about that. I myself would like this game. I thought it was the best spin-off on the Game Boy. Yeah, I would probably give it to one of the next ones coming up. The physics just feel not great and kind of off for a pinball game, and it's, I guess, unfortunate if you also compare it to Revenge of the Gator, another HAL pinball game. It's more simplistic. I guess they tried to keep the physics alive, or I should say the realism of being Kirby, because, you know, Kirby's a ball. You can use him as a pinball. It makes a whole lot of sense. It's been a while since I've actually played through this game, but I will say it is certainly frustrating just being able to try to get everything to happen. The bonus games are pretty freaking cool. The bosses are kind of freaking cool, but yeah, I would say it's definitely one that I haven't returned to as much as I probably should. I do feel as though there are better pinball titles out there, such as Pokemon Pinball. I don't really play as much a lot of Revenge of the Gator, but I certainly think it was a game that I liked at the time, the first time I played it. You know, or I think it's as bad as well as people say. I just think it's certainly a mid-Kirby spinoff. Moving on to a game that I feel like is probably the more underrated out of all of these, being Kirby's Block Ball. This game has a ton of content to it. Like, it is insane how good it is. It might come off as just a basic Breakout clone, but no, it is far from that. Another concept as well of being able to use, you know, the fact that Kirby is a ball, so we better use him as a ball in Breakout, and yeah, that's pretty freaking cool. There's another game that's kind of similar to this in Kirby's Toy Box, which is something a little called the Satellaview, those of you who may or may not know what that is. But yeah, that's a Kirby game we can't play. Maybe look out in the future for me talking about that. With that being said, though, Kirby Block Ball is insanely fun. It has copy abilities mixed into this. So unlike Kirby's Pinball Land, unlike Kirby's Dreamland, there actually is copy abilities. This is one of the first spin-offs, or I guess even just first Kirby games on the Game Boy that does this. And I gotta say, it does it well. Sure, it's just Kirby's Adventure, like, where there's only one use for each, but, like, this is back then anyway, so it's not like Superstar was out yet already. The copy abilities make the gameplay a whole lot more interesting, just bouncing around, be able to not just break the blocks, just simply hitting them, but also using the copy abilities. Now, I do feel like it does get a little annoying when you lose your copy ability, because it's just like Breakout. It's frustrating because it's just like, oh hey, I'm trying to control the ball to hit that one block that's left to move to the next level, or oh hey, I'm trying to hit that block to be able to get that extra bonus, but I just can't do it. No matter how many times I try, I just continue to live the definition of sanity. So that's probably my biggest complaint about this. And probably as well that I wasn't exactly huge in Breakout as a kid, but this is certainly a game that I like a whole lot better. like Pinball Land, it just felt like it kind of got bad for me over time, but I guess it's the kid nostalgia glasses that you wear. There is a ton of levels in this, as I mentioned before, all kinds of content. Bonus games as well. You get to fight that pesky UFO is one too. And there's also bosses. And I gotta say, this boss music, along with this bonus game music, is banger. Like, wow. Sure, there's not a whole lot of tracks in this, but it's like, this is a very underrated Kirby game. Like, it is a crime of Nintendo that they have not put this on the Nintendo Switch Online for Game Boy yet. Like, it is insane. Sure, we got Kirby's Dreamland. Sure, we got another game we'll be talking about comic as well, but we don't have any of the Kirby spin-offs on the Game Boy. Probably another complaint of why I care for this is the fact that you literally have to 100% technically every level. You have to beat a score. I'm not huge on games where you have to 100% things in order to be able to get to the end or get like every collectible or a certain score or something like that. So yeah, that's certainly a little frustration I have. But you know, once again, besides the minor complaints though, this game is worth it. It's worth looking over those tiny little mistakes. This is I probably would say this is like an 8 out of 10, maybe even a 9 out of 10 game. It's just that freaking good. Probably one of my favorites to take and play on the Game Boy whenever possible. Next, we're getting into another banger Kirby title right here. Kirby's Dreamland 2. This is the start of the Dark Matter trilogy. Sure, the name might be a little confusing, but, you know, Nintendo always had confusing names back in the 90s for whatever frickin' reason. Take, for example, Super Mario World 2. When in actuality, that's a brand new series. Same thing here with Kirby's Dreamland 2. It technically is sort of a brand new series, but, you know, it is still, you know, Kirby inhaling things. It's a part of the mainline, you know, gimmick. You get the whole idea. King Dedede, however, did not steal all the food this time. He's just running amok, but there's actually a secret little mastermind pulling all the strings from a distant land that crashed down. Yeah, aliens, you know. Probably this is where the darker tone begins in a Kirby game, since all the inhabitants of Popstar are being possessed by aliens. So, you know, that's pretty freaking cool. And hey, what better way to defeat aliens by having an alien Star Warrior themselves go at it? Thankfully, though, there are other beings that aren't also infected, being Rick, Kine, and Koo, the Animal Buddy introduction, which basically makes some mix-up to the copy abilities, kind of like Superstar, where you have more uses for it. But depending on which Animal Buddy you have, say, for example, Fire with Rick, you can spit fire rather than just, you know, doing the burning, I guess you could say, a little more traditional fire ability. Or say you got the Spark ability and you get to use a light bulb with Kine. Honestly, it's pretty freaking creative, but if you do think about it, it does get a little old and maybe a bit annoying too, especially when you lose your Animal Buddy. Well, I guess also having Animal Buddy is a little annoying too because, you know, the music gets replaced, because there is a really good soundtrack in this. Like, I really got to say as well, the Cloud World level in this is one of the most emotional themes ever. There is a reason why it's included in Kirby's Dream Collection. I didn't even know this version of this song exists in Kirby's Dream Collection until recently too. This is an insanely good song. I love Dark Matter's castle as well. I love just the, you know, even the Animal Buddy themes, even if they're repetitive, they are really freaking cool, I gotta say too. And this is probably one of the first instances as well where there's collectibles in a Kirby game. That's right, this game also has a fake ending. If you do not get all the collectibles, being the rainbow drops in this case, you are going to be fighting the, I guess technically, final boss or fake final boss. You know, one of the many instances in games where it's like, did you actually beat the game? No, but if you want to actually beat the game, you have to 100% it. So once again, not exactly as something I'm huge on, but I'll be honest, there's only a few collectibles in this game. I think it's like, I don't know, 5 or something like that. And even then, it doesn't go into the double digits at all. So it's pretty freaking easy to do so. And in doing so, you then get to fight the final boss being, spoilers, Dark Matter. And this is probably one of the coolest freaking bosses ever. This guy just freaking pops out of King Dedede, who, yeah, it's certainly creepy to say at least what happened to King Dedede. But anyways, pops out of King Dedede. You then go fight them a la nearly Meta Knight style, which, speaking of Meta Knight, where the heck is Meta Knight? You know, there's these knights-looking guys in here that I guess you could say are Meta Knights, but it's like, yeah, whatever, you know. So I guess it's supposed to be like the Meta Knight replacement of this game, or stand-in, but this is pretty freaking insane. This just emo-looking ass freaking thing just comes out of King Dedede, attacks you with a sword, has this like eyeball laser looking kind of like robotic look as well. So it's, I don't know, I freaking love this look, and I freaking love using this outfit in Team Kirby Clash as well. Really freaking cool. Not as huge on the final form boss of that. because if you take too long, you would get killed, so that's always fun. But this is probably one of my favorite Kirby games on the Game Boy, minus Kirby Block Ball. Those are both very, very in a tight lock for first place, but I feel like as though Kirby's Dream Land 2 tends to be a little overlooked because it's on the Game Boy, and a lot of people tend to think that the Game Boy isn't the most ideal, considering, you know, it has a screen you can barely see half the time, and then also just, I don't know, there's screen crunch and, you know, no color a lot of the time. But I guess there is also, if you play this in the Super Game Boy or some kind of applicable software, you can be able to use enhanced software in this with a little bit of added color in there too, along with a freaking cool border. So, you know, that's pretty freaking cool too. Oh, I forgot to mention as well, the other Kirby games like Kirby Block Ball also has a border. So I don't know what's going on with that stone though. That stone's looking pretty sad in there. But hey, you can at least play Kirby's Dream Land 2 right now on the Nintendo Switch Online, along with the other Dark Matter Trilogy games. And finally, we're going to move on to the final Kirby game here, Kirby Star Stacker. Now, I gotta be honest here, this Kirby game, I've probably played the least. It's basically almost like Panel de Pon. I don't want to necessarily say it's like Tetris, it's not. Where you basically line up different animal buddies together. You know, it's kind of almost like a spin-off of Kirby's Dream Land 2, because it's got those animal buddies being Rick, Kind, Coo with different blocks you can combine in there and stuff like that. I've never really completely figured out how to play this game. It probably does also help that I have a Japanese copy of this game too, but it used to be on the 3DS eShop. I remember a family member of mine also had this too. You get to see cool little wind scenes if you do really good in that. Like, I think there's like a pirate thing with Kirby and Rick, or a picture or something like that as well. But this game is also not on Nintendo Switch Online. It used to be on the 3DS, as I mentioned. There is, however, I guess, sequel / remake, which I think it's technically called Super Kirby Star Stacker, on the SNES online. Which is very strange, considering that we never got this game, and the game also wasn't even translated. We did get the Game Boy one, I'll say. We did get the Game Boy one. But it probably is better on the Game Boy, just because it's portable and whatnot. But the SNES one is technically better, because it's color, and it's got like a story mode, and all kinds of cool stuff, so that's pretty freaking cool. Kirby Star Stacker, though, on the Game Boy, it does have link cable support. So, you know, when that does come to the NSO, or whatever, I almost said NES, when it does come to NSO, you can have fun playing Kirby Star Stacker multiplayer with your friends. But I'm pretty sure you can do that in the SNES version too, so whatever. The SNES version is pretty freaking expensive. Kirby Star Stacker on the Game Boy, though, is pretty freaking cheap, so I guess that's kind of your alternative. But yeah, the SNES version is technically better because it got a brand new character, and it also has a freaking story too. And also there's that you know, Return to Dream, or excuse me, the masked DDD theme first showed up in that too. So there's a little bit of a tidbit fun fact for you there. So those are all the Kirby games on the Game Boy. Yeah, a total of 5, and we only have 2, I guess technically 3 if you count the Game Boy Color game. Yeah, I will do a brief shout out to Kirby Tilt and Tumble. Very interesting game at the time, since it had a gyro sensor in the game, but it's a little awkward to play now with a physical cartridge unless you have the original Game Boy or the a Game Boy Advance, considering the fact that it's reversed on Game Boy Advance SP along with the GameCube, but I guess you could flip the GameCube Game Boy player around, so, you know, that's pretty freaking cool at least. It also won't work on like emulation devices like a Retron 5, but yeah, this game's pretty freaking expensive, probably because it didn't sell the best and did those gyro sensors. It was, I think, a little bit more of a pricey game to begin with, but Kirby Tilt and Tumble, I will say, it is motion controls, and as you know, motion controls are not fun. If you played the ball game in Super Mario Galaxy, yeah, I might have gotten good at that, but it's not exactly completely like that. It's a little bit more challenging, a little bit more difficult, a little bit more. No, this isn't Super Mario World. I have not beaten Kirby Tilt and Tumble just because it didn't come out of the NSO until the last year. But I definitely should probably check it out some more, considering it is a fun game. It's a challenge game. It'll make you pull your hair out. And it's probably, I'd say it's the most difficult out of all the 6 Game Boy games, considering that it is, it's pretty freaking challenging, those motion controls. But let me know what you think down below in the comments. Which is your favorite Kirby Game Boy game? Have you played all of these? Which ones have you played? Which ones would you like to play? I mean, I'll tell you right now, Kirby Block Ball, that needs to come to Nintendo Switch Online. That is a banger game. That is a banger title. It's a really freaking fun game. Hope you have a great rest of your night, day, time zone, and of course, don't forget to steal yourselves. Bye-bye.